Hello students, the topic for today's class is glycogen metabolism. We will discuss the topic under the following headings. These are glycogenesis or glycogen synthesis and glycogenolysis or glycogen breakdown. The remaining part that are regulation of glycogen metabolism and glycogen storage disorder will be covered in the next class. Before we get into our main topic, few words about glycogen. Glycogen is a branched chain polysaccharide made exclusively from alpha D glucose. The primary bond is an alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. After an average of 4 glucose residues, there is a branch containing an alpha 1,6 linkage. A single molecule of glycogen can have a molecular mass up to 108 daltons. Although all cells store small amounts of glycogen for their own use, the main store of glycogen in the body are skeletal muscle and liver. The function of muscle glycogen is to serve as a fuel reserve for synthesis of ATP and supply energy during muscle contraction. On the other hand, in liver, glycogen is used to maintain the blood glucose concentration, particularly during the early stage of fasting. Now, coming to glycogenesis or synthesis of glycogen. Glycogen is synthesized mainly in the cytosol of liver and muscle via following steps. These are synthesis of UDP glucose or uridine diphosphate glucose, then synthesis of a primer to initiate glycogen synthesis, then elongation of glycogen chains by glycogen synthase, and lastly formation of branches in glycogen. Now let's go through all the steps one by one. Now, first step of glycogen synthesis is synthesis of UDP glucose. The first reaction in glycogen synthesis is same as that of glycolysis, where glucose is phosphorylated to glucose 6-phosphate by hexokinase in muscle and glucokinase in liver. And in this reaction, ATP is converted to ADP. Then glucose 6-phosphate is converted to glucose 1-phosphate by phosphoglucomutase. Next, glucose 1-phosphate reacts with uridine triphosphate to form uridine diphosphate glucose or UDP glucose. This reaction is catalyzed by UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase. The second product of the reaction is pyrophosphate. The high energy bond in pyrophosphate is hydrolyzed into two inorganic phosphates by pyrophosphatase, and conversion of inorganic phosphate from pyrophosphate ensures that the UDP glucose phosphorylase reaction proceeds in the direction of UDP glucose production. Next step of glycogen synthesis is synthesis of a primer to initiate glycogen synthesis. Glycogen synthase is the key enzyme responsible for making the alpha 1,4 linkage in glycogen. But this enzyme cannot initiate chain synthesis using free glucose as a acceptor molecule of glucose from UDP glucose. Instead, it can only elongate already existing chains of glucose. Therefore, a fragment of glycogen can serve as primer in cells. Now, question is how the primer is synthesized. Now, in this step, a special protein, glycogenin, comes into action. Now, what is glycogenin? It is a 37 kilodalton protein containing tyrosine residue. Here, glycogenin is acting as enzyme and substrate at the same time. Glycogenin initiates glycogen synthesis by accepting glucose residue from UDP glucose. Glycogenin then extends the glucose chain by accepting 7 more glucose residue from UDP glucose to produce a short alpha 1,4 linked glycosyl chain. This is called glycogen primer. Next step is elongation of glycogen chain by glycogen synthase. Glycogen synthase enters into action in this point. The enzyme begins glycogen synthesis by extending the primer. Glycogen synthase forms alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages at the non-reducing outer end of the primer molecule and extend the chain of glycogen in a linear fashion. Glycogenin stays associated with and forms the core of glycogen granule. The UDP released when a new alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond is made phosphorylated to UTP by nucleoside diphosphate kinase. Next step of glycogen synthesis is branching of glycogen molecules. If no other synthetic enzyme acted on the chain, the resulting structure would be a linear unbranched molecule of glycosyl residue attached by alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages. Such molecules are found in plant tissues and called amylose. In contrast, glycogen is branched chain tree-like structure. Branching causes the molecule to be compact, less space occupying, more soluble in aqueous environment and globular in structure. It also increases the rate of glycogen synthesis by increasing number of non-reducing end at which new glycosyl residues can be added. Now, question is how linear glycogen molecule is converted to branch chain glycogen molecule. Branches are made by the action of the branching enzyme, that is amylo alpha 1,4 alpha 16 transglucosidase. Once the linear glycogen molecule are elongated to 11 residues from glycogenin molecule or any other existing branching point via glycogen synthase, branching enzyme comes into action. This enzyme breaks an alpha 1,4 bond from the terminal non-reducing end and removes a chain of 6 to 8 glucosyl residues, then attaches it to a non-terminal glucosyl residue by an alpha 16 linkage. the new and old reducing ends can be further elongated by the action of glycogen synthase now. Next part of our topic is glycogenolysis, that means breakdown of glycogen. Now, how does the process take place? Initially, what happens? There is shortening of glycogen chain. The shortening of glycogen chain occurs from its non-reducing end, and the procedure is triggered by breaking of alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. In this process, there is release of glucose 1-phosphate residue. The reaction is catalyzed by enzyme glycogen phosphorylase. The enzyme glycogen phosphorylase require pyridoxal phosphate as a cofactor. Now let's look at the next slide to see if we can figure out what is going on. Suppose this is our branched glycogen molecule. This green circle is glycogenin molecule. This one is alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond at branch point, and all other bonds are alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds. Now glycogen phosphorylase cleaves alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds from the non-reducing end of the glycogen molecule sequentially. As a result, a glucose 1-phosphate residue is released each time. Glycogen phosphorylase cleaves glucosyl residue until 4 glucosyl units remain on each chain before a branch point. The resulting structure is called limit dextrin. Glycogen phosphorylase stops working at this point and a new enzyme comes into action. This enzyme is debranching enzyme. It is a bifunctional enzyme with transferase and glucosidase activity. The transferase activity of debranching enzyme removes 3 of 4 glucosyl residues attached at a branch point. Then it transferred them to the non-reducing end of another chain and lengthening the chain. So an alpha 1,4 bond is broken and an alpha 1,4 bond is created. Next, the remaining single glucose residue attached by alpha 1,6 linkage is released hydrolytically by glucosidase activity of the debranching enzyme, releasing free glucose. The glucosyl chain is now available again for degradation by glycogen phosphorylase. By the repeated action of glycogen phosphorylase and debranching enzyme, glucose 1-phosphate and glucose residue are released. Glucose released by breaking of alpha 1,6 linkage at branch point enter into the blood. On the other hand, glucose 1-phosphate released from cleavage of alpha 1,4 linkage are converted to glucose 6-phosphate. This reaction is catalyzed by enzyme phosphoglucomutase. Now, in liver, this glucose 6-phosphate is converted to glucose with the help of enzyme glucose 6-phosphatase and enter into the blood when required. In muscle, glucose 6-phosphate cannot be dephosphorylated because of a lack of glucose 6 phosphatase enzyme. Instead, it enters into glycolysis pathway, providing energy needed for muscle contraction. So, this is glycogen metabolism in nutshell. Please read the topic from any standard textbook along with this video. Stay safe. Thank you.